Once the poetic muse of French New Wave cinema, with her smoky gaze and magnetic stillness, Marina Vladi now devotes her voice to activism and literature. Silver hair frames a wiser stare, less camera-ready, more cause-driven. From screen icon to outspoken advocate, she rewrote her script. She once leapt from Bond sets in leather and eyeliner, the embodiment of 70s pulp glam. Now at 76, Caroline Munro appears at fan expos, poised and grounded, her once volcanic energy mellowed into warmth. Her cult status endures, not just for her looks, but for how she embraced her niche with grace. Drenched in gold as Bond's unforgettable sacrifice, Shirley Eaton shimmered as a 60s icon. Today, she walks gardens instead of red carpets, her golden locks turned soft silver. Long retired by choice, she paints and pens, choosing quiet creation over cinematic repetition. Once a vision in giallo thrillers, with ice blonde hair and hypnotic poise, Barbara Bouchen now moves through quieter days in Rome, her elegance softened but undiminished. The one-time cult icon channels her fire into wellness ventures, trading scripts for stillness and slow, deliberate reinvention. She once defined Italian sex comedy with a wink and rebellious charisma. Now Edwidge Fenech shapes stories behind the camera, her sleek bob replaced by a refined grace. While the genre faded, she adapted, producing with precision and proving allure doesn't vanish, it evolves with vision. Like a surreal nouvelle vague frame, Macha Merrill's career blurs art and intellect. Once a muse for Goddard, now a sharp-eyed author and speaker, she's traded cinematic close-ups for cultural discourse. Her voice is arresting as ever, just now heard from a different stage. From the tousled-haired siren avant-garde created woman to a fierce voice for animal rights, Brigitte Bardot turned her back on the spotlight decades ago. Her bold spirit remains, etched in every line of her face, proof that some icons choose passion over applause and still leave the world echoing. She once floated through the umbrellas of Cherbourg, all porcelain skin and enigmatic restraint. Now 81, Catherine Deneuve commands quieter spaces, her blonde waves softened, her gaze still regal. Through auteur films and activism, she never faded, she simply evolved with cinematic elegance. With eyes that once rivaled sapphires and a laugh like Roman sunlight, Sophia Loren ruled both Hollywood and Cinecittà. At 90, she's statuesque still, graceful, but grounded. No longer chasing roles, she inspires from afar, her legacy carved not in stone, but in the women she helped redefine. Emerging from the sea in a white bikini, Ursula Andress became a global icon, her fierce confidence redefining 60s sensuality. Today, at 89, her world is quieter, but the strength behind that stare endures. She chose solitude over spotlights, a graceful retreat from the noise of fame. As Domino in Thunderball, Claudine Auger embodied the elegance of 1960s espionage, poised, alluring, unforgettable. Her later years unfolded away from headlines, a deliberate fade from the lens. Since her passing in 2019, she remains a symbol of subtle power in Bond's cinematic legacy. Remember Bonnie's tilted beret and bulletproof stare? Faye Dunaway lit up Hollywood with electric presence and unshakable control. Now 84, her legacy spans more than roles. She weathered acclaim and critique, shifting from fame's fever to reflection, still uncompromising in voice and vision. Before we continue these amazing celebrity transformations, here's a quick challenge for you. Can you subscribe to Then vs. Now Legends in the next 5 seconds? Smash that subscribe button and join us on this journey through time with your favorite stars. Remember her as Lara, framed in frost and heartbreak. Julie Christie now lives far from red carpets, her once gilded hair now silvered, her presence quieter but undiminished. She chose a life of privacy and purpose over stardom's grind, proof that true icons know when to step out of the frame. Once a symbol of Mediterranean fire in 8.5 and the Leopard, Claudia Cardinale now moves with slower grace, her wild curls tamed, her voice steadier. She champions women's rights across continents, reshaping her stardom into service, a rebel spirit still burning beneath elegant calm. She conquered screens in violet-eyed fury, from Cleopatra to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Before her passing in 2011, Elizabeth Taylor channeled fame into fierce AIDS advocacy. Glamour gave way to grit, jewels to justice, a star whose impact outlived her spotlight. From underwater slow-motion stardom in the deep to red carpets lined with whispers, Jacqueline Bisset exuded poised mystique. Now 80, her silvered curls frame a face etched with depth, not decline. She still acts, but on her terms, favoring layered scripts over fleeting spotlight. Once the polished heart of Charlie's Angels, Jacqueline Smith's strength lay in more than camera-ready charm. It was control. At 79, she helms a successful design empire, her voice calm, style refined. She pivoted from primetime icon to entrepreneur with grace and enduring clarity. A restless rebel on screen and off, Tuesday Weld broke molds in the 60s with raw emotion and quiet defiance. At 81, she's vanished from public view. No memoirs, no stage returns. But that's her power, choosing privacy over praise, a legacy shrouded in self-preservation. With her feathered hair and electric smile, Farrah Fawcett defined a decade in Charlie's Angels. But before her passing in 2009, she defied the industry's expectations, facing cancer with unflinching honesty. More than a poster, she became a portrait of courage in a world built on illusion. The blonde dynamo of the man with the golden gun, Britt Ekland once danced through headlines and disco lights. Now at 82, she embraces a quieter pace, her style sharp, voice seasoned, energy intact. From Bond girl to self-styled survivor, she rewrote her arc with candor and resilience. Chic and sharp-witted and heart-to-heart, Stephanie Powers once ruled primetime with effortless elegance. Today, she tends to wildlife causes, her auburn locks grayer, her stride no less purposeful. Trading scripts for conservation, she channels star power into something wilder and lasting. Once stranded on Gilligan's Island as the glamorous Ginger Grant, Tina Louise captivated with auburn waves and knowing glances. Now 91, she walks away from rerun fame with quiet dignity, advocating literacy and reflection. She traded sitcom sparkle for substance and never looked back. Would you believe? Barbara Feldon's Agent 99 brought wit and poise to 60s spy comedy. Now 92, her signature bob has softened, her voice slower, but her intellect remains razor-sharp. She writes and lectures on solitude, proving independence was never just a character trait. From the Nutty Professor to the Poseidon Adventure, Stella Stevens fused sensuality with comic timing. She later directed, carved space behind a camera, then withdrew from Hollywood entirely. When she passed in 2023, she left behind a legacy of wit, grit, and creative rebellion. Once the dazzling blonde with comic bite in Heaven Can Wait, Diane Cannon lit up screens with sass and sparkle. Now 88, her curls are softer, her focus turned to directing and faith-based outreach. No longer chasing roles, she crafts meaning behind the scenes. Proof her spark was never just for show. As Murphy Brown, she redefined women on TV, smart, biting, unapologetic. At 79, Candice Bergen now embraces character roles and paints vivid portraits. Her silver bob speaks volumes, her voice remains crisp. She turned typecasting on its head and built a second act with humor and heft. The original supermodel, Jean Shrimpton, once stunned the 60s with doe eyes and miniskirts. She walked away at her peak, swapping fashion capitals for a quiet hotel in Cornwall. Now 82, rarely seen, she remains a mystery, proof that walking out of fame can be the most radical runway move of all. Born into cinematic royalty, Geraldine Chaplin carved her own path, from surrealist muse to indie powerhouse. Her ethereal edge in Cria Cuervos now echoes in art house roles at 80. With silver hair and fearless presence, she remains a bridge between legacy and artistic defiance. In Breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey Hepburn redefined grace with a single glance, her wide eyes and slender silhouette becoming symbols of an era. After stepping back from film, she poured her heart into UNICEF. Since her 1993 passing, her quiet activism rivals even her screen legacy. From Bond girl to fashion-forward chaos and absolutely fabulous, Joanna Lumley mastered reinvention. At 79, her sharp cheekbones frame a woman of bold voice and causes, tireless in advocacy, magnetic on screen. She aged not into obscurity, but into commanding, champagne-soaked relevance. From baby dolls controversy to European thrillers, Carol Baker shifted from ingenue to genre queen with fearless flair. Now 94, she lives out of frame. Her platinum hair faded, but her trailblazing roles untouched. She defied typecasting, proving longevity comes from reinvention, not compliance. Known for her lethal charm in Thunderball, Luciana Paluzzi once commanded attention in Bond's orbit. At 88, she's far from espionage plots, her red mane silvered, her life quieter in Rome. She stepped away early, choosing real-world passions over stardom's illusions, with zero regrets. With tousled bangs and whispered vocals, Jane Birkin became the face and sound of 70s French cool. Before her passing in 2023, she remained creatively defiant, still touring, still challenging norms. From muse to maker, her legacy lingers in every note, every undone button, every borrowed breath. From Gidget's surfboard to Norma Rae's factory floor, Sally Field proved charm and grit could coexist. Now 78, her once sunny cadence carries gravity, appearing rarely, but with purpose. She's not chasing youth, she's shaping legacy, one emotionally exact performance at a time. She sizzled as Miss Teschmacher in Superman, blending sex appeal with subversive wit. But Valerie Perrine's real battle came later, facing Parkinson's with unflinching candor. At 81, her glamour has given way to grit, and her resilience now outshines her risque reputation. Towering at 6 feet with golden hair and a Vegas glow, Susan Anton was once a staple of 70s variety shows. Now 74, she lives a quieter life, her stage presence exchanged for balance and introspection. The spotlight dimmed, but she never stopped owning her height and voice. As Lois Lane, she brought grit and wit to the superhero world. No damsel, just daring. Before her passing in 2018, Margot Kidder became a mental health advocate, battling stigma as fiercely as any villain. Her journey wasn't linear, but was real, an icon shaped by more than spotlight. She shattered barriers as a sports broadcaster in the 70s, blending poise with power. At 73, Jane Kennedy speaks on health and legacy, her once glamorous style, now grounded and serene. A trailblazer by choice, not chance, she proved beauty and brilliance could rewrite the rules, on air and off. In Mission Impossible, she was elegance under pressure, poised, precise, unforgettable. Now 80, Linda Day George lives largely out of the public eye, her golden hair softer, smile unchanged. She stepped away on her own terms, reminding us that impact isn't measured by constant visibility. Known for her Emmy-winning mix of warmth and wit, Mariette Hartley lit up 70s screens, from sci-fi to heartfelt commercials. Now 85, she channels her voice into mental health advocacy, her silver hair framing a face that's seen both pain and purpose, and still chooses to speak. As Lieutenant Uhura, Nichelle Nichols broke barriers with calm authority and cosmic grace. She later helped NASA diversify its recruits, proof her impact reached far beyond the Enterprise. Since her 2022 passing, she's remembered not just as a pioneer, but as a force for change. With piercing blue eyes and brooding silence, Franco Nero cut through spaghetti westerns like a blade. Now 83, the Django star acts sparingly, his weathered face lending weight to smaller roles. Once the gunman, now the sage, his presence quieter, but no less commanding. With sharp cheekbones and sharper wit, Cinta Berger lit up European cinema and sparred with Hollywood's elite. Now 84, she lends her voice to human rights. Her auburn hair softened, her gaze still resolute. From on-screen seductress to outspoken intellect, she evolved without apology. Best known as Plenty O'Toole and Diamonds Are Forever, Lana Wood once turned heads with bold style and fearless energy. At 79, her look is understated, her focus shifted to writing and family legacy. She carries both fame and tragedy with candor, forging strength from shadows. As Catwoman, She purred her way into pop culture with feline grace and comic mischief. At 91, Julie Newmar remains a singular force, tall, eloquent, and delightfully eccentric. She gardens, writes, and muses aloud, proving that curiosity and charisma age far better than celebrity ever could. With smoky eyes and mysterious grace, Anouk Amy haunted screens in La Dolce Vita and A Man and a Woman. Her elegance never screamed, it lingered. When she passed in 2024 at 92, she left behind a filmography steeped in restraint, complexity, and quiet cinematic fire. From wide-eyed innocence in The Railway Children to steely compassion in Call the Midwife, Jenny Agutter evolved across eras. Now 72, her once girlish charm has matured into calm authority. She bridges generations, still acting, still relevant, still writing her story with quiet control. A lioness of stage and screen, Vanessa Redgrave roared through Julia and Howard's End with intellect and fire. Now 88, she walks slower but speaks no softer, her artistry sharpened by time. Political, poetic, unrelenting, she remains a living archive of passion and provocation. She stormed into stardom in a fur bikini, but Raquel Welch's real power lay in breaking Hollywood's narrow mold. Before her passing in 2023, she embraced business and introspection, her glam look enduring, her path self-forged. More than a sex symbol, she was a strategist in stilettos. With icy blonde allure and comedic timing, Elke Sommer charmed 60s cinema from Europe to Hollywood. Now 84, her canvas is literal. She paints vivid works far from flashbulbs. Her style now subdued, her fire remains in pigment and protest. She turned fame into a palette of reinvention. An Italian enchantress in Flash Gordon and Fellini Dreams, Ornella Muti once lit screens with ethereal confidence. At 70, she radiates calm strength. Long dark hair streaked with silver, her focus on sustainability and family. She didn't fade, she simply rooted herself in deeper soil. With melancholic eyes and whisper-soft vocals, Françoise Hardy defines 60s French cool, her voice floating through smoky cafes and youth revolutions. After years of quiet battles with illness, she passed in 2024. Her songs endure, still echoing with restraint, romance, and unsparing honesty. As the sleek agent XXX in The Spy Who Loved Me, Barbara Bach brought brains and beauty to Bond's world. Now 78, her jet-set life gave way to grounded peace with Ringo Starr. She stepped off screen decades ago, choosing wellness and partnership over flash. Stepping into Charlie's Angels with feathered hair and wide-eyed resolve, Cheryl Ladd became America's TV sweetheart. At 73, she still appears occasionally, grayer, wiser, but no less poised. She now balances acting with painting, quietly reframing fame into something entirely her own. From Emma Peel's sharp wit and combat moves to Game of Thrones' fierce Olenna, Diana Rigg carved complexity into every role. She left this world in 2020, but remains a template of strength and nuance, a force that rewrote what women could be on screen, quietly legendary beyond her years. With sharp edges and smoky allure, Joanna Cassidy dominated 70s thrillers before evolving into a versatile character actress. Now 79, her style softened but her presence stays potent. She balances small roles with activism, embracing depth over spotlight with unyielding resilience. Jessica Lange transformed from sultry ingenue to powerhouse with roles spanning King Kong to American Horror Story. At 76, her silver mane frames a face that speaks of battles won, artistic and personal. She steps back from public life, leaving behind an indelible mark on cinematic storytelling. Verna Lisi, with her luminous smile and regal presence, captivated 60s and 70s cinema before gracefully shifting to European auteur films. She passed in 2014, leaving behind a legacy of elegance and versatility, proof that true artistry transcends decades and trends. Eva Marie Saint's poised intensity and On the Waterfront and North by Northwest made her a silver screen staple. Now 101, she remains an emblem of classic Hollywood restraint, her voice soft but clear, embodying a century's worth of storytelling and grace. Kim Novak's haunting gaze and enigmatic aura defined Hitchcock's vertigo and 50s allure. Now 92, she lives a life far from cameras, her style muted but deliberate. She chose privacy over parade, letting mystery linger long after the spotlight dimmed. Once chased by birds in Hitchcock's suspenseful frames, Tippi Hedren now advocates for big cats in California sanctuaries. Her icy poise gave way to fierce purpose, trading red carpets for refuge grounds and surviving a controlling industry with quiet, unwavering defiance. She danced through Goddard's new wave with enigmatic charm, redefining what it meant to be muse and auteur. Long after the cameras dimmed, Anna Karina remained cinema's rebel soul, writing, singing, defying erasure even in death, her bangs and bold stare etched into film history. Bobby Soxer's sweetheart in Hawaiian Eye, Connie Stevens once charmed TV's golden age with bubbly verve. Today, with silver waves and softened voice, she's a behind-the-scenes force, directing, healing, and reshaping fame on her own terms, beyond the tight lens of 1960s stardom. Once the elegant Charlie's Angel with a cool intellect and a cosmopolitan gaze, Shelley Hack now shapes stories off-screen as a media consultant and global advocate. Trading fashion spreads for policy forums, she shifted from icon to strategist, still composed, still commanding. Flame-haired and electric in Viva Las Vegas, and Margaret set screens ablaze with sensual energy and aching vulnerability. Decades later, with softened features and unapologetic fire, she still performs. Fewer kicks now, more soul, proving that magnetism matures, it doesn't fade. She once sparked revolutions on and off the screen, from Barbarella to Vietnam protests. Now, with silver streaks and defiant eyes, Jane Fonda marches for climate justice and hosts podcasts. Reinvention isn't a phase for her, it's the fuel that's always led her way forward. Like a flashbulb frozen in time, Sharon Tate's effervescent charm in Valley of the Dolls still shimmers in Hollywood's memory. Though her life ended tragically in 1969, her legacy outshines the horror, symbolizing not just lost promise, but the haunting beauty of potential never dimmed. Once the soulful ingenue of West Side Story, Natalie would dance through screens with rebellious charisma. Her mysterious 1981 death left questions, but her influence lives on, etched into cinema's golden era, a reminder of a woman who dared to lead in a world slow to follow. She once giggled through sketch comedy in mini-skirts and mascara. Now at 79, Goldie Hawn champions children's mental health, her posture more grounded, her voice more purposeful. From laugh track queen to wellness warrior, she's evolved without ever erasing her spark. Once spun into Wonder Woman with a flash of gold cuffs and grace under pressure, Linda Carter now sings, speaks, and advocates, with deeper timbre and silver at her temples. No longer saving the world on screen, she uplifts it in real life, one cause and concert at a time. From leather-clad Grease icon to soft-spoken warrior, Olivia Newton-John's journey stretched beyond the stage. She battled illness with radiant resolve, founding wellness centers and singing into the dark with light. Her voice lives on, gentle, brave, and beautifully unretouched. Blazing through 1970s cinema as Foxy Brown, Pam Grier redefined fierce femininity with grit and poise. Now, with silver coils and unshaken fire, she teaches, writes, and mentors, less vengeance, more vision. Her legacy isn't just tough, it's textured, wise, and wholly her own. Once the magnetic force behind the Supremes, Diana Ross ruled airwaves with sequins, soul, and unstoppable grace. At 81, she still commands the stage, her voice seasoned, her presence more commanding than ever. While the charts shifted, she stayed iconic by sheer will. As Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, she healed hearts on 90s TV, blending elegance with grit. Now 74, Jane Seymour paints, produces, and redefines visibility in aging. Silver hair swept back, spine tall with purpose. Typecast once, she now writes her own roles on and off screen. Like a noir classic in soft focus, Angie Dickinson's allure as policewoman still lingers. Now 93, she lives far from red carpets, her stride slower but gaze unwavering. She shattered TV taboos with quiet strength and left a legacy that speaks louder than flashbulbs. From Wide-Eyed Waif in Rosemary's Baby to fierce humanitarian, Mia Farrow's ethereal look masked unshakable grit. Now, with silver strands and quieter fame, she fights for children's rights worldwide, choosing compassion over casting calls and purpose over paparazzi. Breaking barriers in Julia, Diane Carroll was elegance redefined, graceful, unyielding, and ahead of her time. Off-screen, she battled illness and racism with equal poise. Though she left the stage in 2019, her legacy still whispers, beauty can speak truth and power wears pearls. She once stared from magazine covers with androgynous gaze and lashes like clock hands. Now, Twiggy embraces laughter lines and long walks, designing, hosting, and aging out loud. The year's ultimate waif has evolved into a grounded icon, proving lightness doesn't mean weightless. Like a well-worn leather journal, Lauren Hutton's beauty deepened with every chapter, gap-toothed, unfiltered, unforgettable. Once the face that defied modeling norms in the 70s, now at 81, she still redefines aging, walking runways with silver hair and unshakable poise. She once strutted in sequins on variety shows, voice soaring across decades. At 79, Cher drops skincare lines and political punchlines, hair sleek, posture bold. Reinventing herself with every era, she turned pop stardom into an art form and never asked permission to begin with. Then versus Now Legends is feeling a bit lonely. 99% of you haven't subscribed yet. Show us some love and hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you the jaw-dropping journeys of your favorite stars. And if you're as fascinated by then and now glow-ups as we are, check out our previous videos. Trust us, they're totally worth your time and ours too.